Hello my friends, this is Sylvie Curry, Lady of Q, and I'm in my kitchen. We are once again in the holiday season. This is November 2021, and I'm getting prepared to get my holiday Thanksgiving meal together. What I'm going to be putting together, I'm going to make cranberry sauce. In addition to making the cranberry sauce, I know that I always have too much, so I'm going to be canning the remaining of it that I'm not going to be using for Thanksgiving dinner. Join me in this venture. We're making cranberry sauce from scratch. The ingredients for this cranberry sauce are very basic. I've got a 12-ounce bag of cranberries, which I've rinsed and drained. Very important to rinse and drain those. You can't use them directly out of the bag. They need to be washed. I've got 1 1/4 cup of orange juice here. And this orange juice I actually got from my refrigerator. Some oranges that I had earlier this year that I squeezed and just froze them for use like today. Now, recipes for cranberry sauce ordinarily have something like just plain old water. Some of them may have a sweet white wine or something on that level. I decided to go with straight orange juice because I had it. I've got a cup of sugar, and the amount of sugar you use is going to be dependent on how sweet you want it to be. I don't like my cranberry sauce to be super over sweet, so I'm only using 1 cup of sugar to this 12-ounce bag of cranberries. I've got 2 star anise in there, and I've also got 3 allspice and 1 stick of cinnamon, which I'm going to be using to flavor my cranberry sauce. I've got all my ingredients laid out. First, we're going to start by adding the orange juice and the sugar. We're going to allow the sugar to dissolve in this orange juice before we put in the cranberries. My sugar has dissolved. This has come to a boil. The next step is I'm going to turn it down a little bit more than a simmer. And then we're going to add the cranberries. And as these cranberries cook, they're going to start bursting. And we'll know it's done when they all have almost completely burst. You hear that popping? Those are the cranberries bursting. I lowered the heat a little bit more. And the cranberries continue to burst. In a little bit, I'll be adding in that star anise, the allspice, and the cinnamon stick. And we'll let that continue cooking for a little while longer. There goes the allspice, star anise, and the cinnamon stick. And we'll let that continue to simmer. As the cranberries cook, it does thicken up, and even after we take it off and let it cool, it will continue to thicken some during the cooling process. We are good. So I'm going to turn off the fire, and we'll let this sit a while so that those flavors from the cinnamon stick, star anise, and the allspice berries can better infuse. Then our next step is to move on to canning these. Now it's time to fill my jars. I've got a ladle, the funnel, and I have a couple of other little tools that are used to facilitate this process. I'm going to go in, and I want to leave at least a 1/2 inch in that jar. Keep in mind also, I did remove the star anise and the cinnamon, and I also removed the allspice. I chose to use these very small jars because the amount of cranberry sauce that I'll need is going to be dependent on how many guests I have. This coming Thanksgiving, I'm going to have quite a few, so I'll probably open up 2 of the jars, and I'll save the others for later holidays, Christmas, next year. Now it's very important to go around the edges to make sure that there's no residual cranberry sauce or sugar, as that would prevent it from having a great seal. The other thing that's very important to do is to go around the jars and poke at it like this, because you want to get rid of any air pockets that might be in there. Now I'm going to put on the lids. And we'll get our bands. And I'm only giving it a lady's hand squeeze, so it's not really tight. Tight. Okay, now it's time to put it back in the water bath. I've got my water at a boil currently, and I'm going to add these jars in. And what you want to make sure is, once all the jars are in, you want to make sure that you have water, boiling water, above the lids and the bands. And I've got about, it's a little bit more than a half an inch. Also important is that I don't start counting the 15 minutes for the canning process until I return to a boil with this water. It was actually very hot in the beginning, and because the cranberry sauce was also hot, it's not going to take very long at all. My jars have gone through a 15-minute cycle of water canning. I'm going to take them out, place them on a cloth so they can drain. And as they cool, we should start hearing the popping of the jars, indicating we've got pressure inside. So no air is in there.